50% of wild animals we have killed and made to extinct, and 50% of all wildlife we have destroyed with this intelligence in the last 50 years. 80% of marine mammals have vanished because of our intelligence and how we use it. And we have also killed 50% of plants and trees, 15% of fishes, and it is very interesting to see that now we are killing all the animals because we're driving away from the forest and clearing them for raising animals, cows, and things like that for our use. So now the wild animals are left. The composition of all the mammals today is just 4% wild animals are left, 36% are human, and 60% are livestock. So what I'm saying is that it's not just we have created a very worrying eco imbalance, but 17% of all Amazonian rainforests have vanished, and the tipping point is just 25%. And since we have done this in just last 50 years, we are reaching the tipping point of no return very, very soon. So these are very alarming statistics, and it has also been found, but not much popularized, that the greenhouse emissions caused by the slaughterhouse industries is greater than all the emissions caused by trains, cars, airplanes in the world combined. We are approaching the sixth mass extinction in our 4 billion years of history, and it's worrying, environmentalists are worrying. And this is a quote of when I was in college, we read a beautiful novel by Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man of the Sea. And since then, it is my favorite. And he wrote, "Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know." Now, why is it so that with intelligence, we have created marvels, we have progressed so much, but at the same time, we have left behind a unpardonable devastation world? There is a reason, because intelligence is like a powerful engine of a car. But if this engine is not provided with a map or facts, if it is not provided with a dashboard which keeps giving us feedback on the speed, the direction, where are we going, whether we're following the map or not, and an ability to apply brakes, change our speed, and steer into a direction which is safer and desirable for us, this intelligence, this powerful engine can be not a boon but a curse. And apart from that, we have to have discipline in driving, we have to have caution, and we need to practice good driving skills. And we also need to be fair. That means we need to follow the traffic rules. So there are 3 F's here: facts, farsightedness, and fairness, which must drive and guide this power of intelligence. And these 3 things put together are called rationality. Rationality, if it is not allowed to guide our intelligence, it can play havoc. So now we understand we made progress as human beings, as species, when we drove this intelligence with rationality. And whenever we drove this intelligence with irrationality, we created havoc. Now, so 3 things we have just learned: that we need to focus on 3 F's, which are factual, fair, and farsighted. These three things should guide our intelligence and drive our powerful engine of intelligence towards progress. So this uh, factual respect for factual to guide our intelligence is known as epistemic rationality. And epistemic rationality means that whatever we believe, we should have evidence behind that. It should be confirmable, and it should be confirmable based on confirmable evidence-based facts. So whenever maps of reality do not match with reality, maps are not the territory, they're just representation of that. So how the world works, what effects causes what causes what effects, we have maps about that. And these maps often we inherit, but we don't confirm them with evidence, with rationality, with logic. And so they go away from reality, and when we use them, we get frustration. So the second kind of rationality, which is based on farsightedness, is instrumental rationality. Just as a sculptor, he imagines something and then gives it a shape. Similarly, we have this life, we have our intentions, we have an idea of how what could be my best version, so we can uh, develop our top priority goals and align our time and resources to make those top priority goals a reality. So instrumental reality is using our resources, aligning our resources in order to become our very best. And the third kind of rationality is being ethical, trying to be fair, doing things in ways that they are fair to me, fair to the other person, and fair to all sentient beings on this earth. If this intelligence is not guided by these three rationalities, instrumental, epistemic, and moral or ethical rationality, intelligence, if it is unguided by this rationality, it can result in illusory superiority and untamed ego. It has been found that leaders from whatever field, they do four mistakes repeatedly. And the first mistake is they have a very uh, exaggerated idea about their importance and their intelligence and their competence. As a result of that, they do not listen to far more competent junior people. And the third mistake they do is that they uh, over they underestimate the challenge and exaggerate their ability to handle them. And the fourth is that they do not try to have plan B, that in case their plan fails, what will rescue them, because they're so confident of themselves, and all that confidence is illusory. And second thing, if it is not guided by rationality, intelligence can make us believe in stupid things like there is a there could be people who believe that if the earth is not spherical but it's a flat earth, and on internet you can find supporters of any stupidity nowadays. And because of this, this kind of unguided intelligence can make us very egoist, which will make difficult to resolve conflicts. It has been found that the teams which have too many intelligent people, their performance comes down, even in sports like football. Now, by believing some stupid things, we can start following people who may not be what we assume them to be. On 18th of November 1979, in Guyana, um, South America, there was an American who shifted there, and he was respected a lot. His name was Jim Jones. He asked people to drink a cyanide-laced Kool-Aid, and people trusted and had so much faith in him. They drank, the kids drank first, and next day 909 bodies were recovered. In the papers it was reported earlier 775, but it was counted 909 bodies died in just a matter of 20 minutes. So in our society, people take pride in saying that I have unshakable faith, but unshakable faith is dangerous. Why? Because it does not have check and balances. It is a gamble. If what person you are having faith in is goes good, good for you. But if it does not deserve to be one, then your life is spoiled. You may even be killed like these people. So if you have intelligence unguided by rationality, it can make you disastrous decisions like this. In the corporate world, 50% of all the decisions that are made, they do not achieve the purpose. 83% of the mergers and acquisitions done, they achieve nothing near to the benefits that were envisaged. Every day in America, 2,265 new businesses start. They in 2,265 every day, and 90% of them close down within a matter of 5 years. Some finish, some can't survive even weeks or months. Why? Because people are overconfident. They have an idea. We are all very good in, our species is good in inventing ideas, beliefs, speculation, but we are very deficient in checking them on the basis of evidence, logic, and rationality. And there are 32,000 new products are launched, 80% of them collapse within a year. And this tendency has been exaggerated by a movement called, which started in 2004 by an Australian lady who wrote a book, The Secret. It says laws of attraction. If you just think and believe good things will happen to you, but this has not been found true. This is very misleading, and even our scriptures don't permit this. Life is not a picnic spot where we come to fulfill our wishes. It's a struggle. It's something to learn from our failures. In fact, if you're struggling for a purpose, it has more meaning in life than leading a comfortable life without contributing much. So if we do not let our intelligence guide the rationality, it may make us develop self-damaging habits. It's just not a belief. It's a research by London School of Economics 2000 study. It found that students who had a very high IQ were more susceptible to get into drugs, to smoke heavily, to become alcoholics. And the people who had an average of 140 IQ, they were far more susceptible to reach their credit card limits than people who had an average 100 IQ. Intelligence unguided by rationality also result in unethical actions, and we think we will not get caught. We are so intelligent, and it is smart to do unfair things, and we justify that. Justify that it is business needs. There are so many other ways. If you're intelligent, you can justify any damn thing. And unguided intelligence makes us callous mistakes. Some of you might be aware that in the Columbia spacecraft, in which we lost one Indian lady. So that ship, when left, a piece fell from. I'll tell you that these are solid rocket boosters, the two white things you find. This is a fuel tank, and a foam debris fell from here, and it's on the wings of the Columbia, and this was when it was leaving. And this created a hole here, and all the heat started melting it. People at NASA knew this, but they did not communicate to the people in the in the spaceship, because they wanted them to have the last 16 days. Uh, they wanted them to spend it happily, but they knew when it will return to Earth's gravity, it will not be able to make the reach here. And mistakes happen, but this mistake should not have happened, because it happened because of too much confidence in our intelligence, because in every single flight before, the debris had fallen. The only thing they had not fallen at this crucial place, so the flight survived. But they should have taken lessons, but they didn't. So when we are very intelligent, we often justify and don't learn from what is to be learned. There have been 6,000 iatrogenic deaths. Iatrogenic deaths means which uh, happen in hospitals because of negligence of doctors, overconfidence of doctors. For example, a nurse may be saying, "Doctor, we have to operate the right leg," and the doctor says, "Who is the doctor, me or you?" And that's some kind of mistakes like that happen because of our sense of superior intelligence. And lastly, we tend to get away by brilliantly justifying all these downsides of intelligence, which is unguided rationality. Now, we are going to talk about, does intelligence automatically result in rationality? Because rationality, of course, stems from intelligence, but does it come out from intelligence just like that? Or is Keith Stanowich is a professor in Toronto University, is a psychologist, is a mammoth work in this direction, and he says in his research he has found little correlation has been found between intelligence and rationality. It will not come automatically to you. I told you it's like intelligence is like an engine, and rationality is like a dashboard. And Keith Stanowich has coined a term called dysrationalia, believing and acting irrationally despite adequate intelligence. In fact, more intelligent you are, the more you're susceptible to do irrational things. I know of an IAS officer whose wife used to come down every day. They lived in a posh locality in Sarojini Nagar, and his wife would be found filling water from a public tap every day, carrying these buckets up. And they lived near my brother's home, and then one day it was found that uh, her husband has insisted that all taps be removed, because the day a drop falls from the tap, he will die. He started believing that because he saw a dream, and a guru said that dream is going to get true. Look at the plight of that poor woman because of someone's stupidity. Intelligence plus rationality is a better predictor of success in life. That's what the finding of Keith Stanowich is. Instead of just intelligence, rationality is a better predictor of success, and if it is added in addition to intelligence, even more better. Now, in the upcoming slides, we will discuss how to develop these three kinds of rationalities one by one. So first, let us find out what is the biggest obstacle to epistemic rationality. Let us recall, epistemic rationality is to believe, is to align our beliefs with reality. It's an overlap of truth and our beliefs. What is the biggest obstacle to epistemic rationality? It is something called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that supports what we already want to believe. So when we want to have hope, when we want to believe something, when we are emotionally attached to it, we will ignore any evidence that contradicts it because it will need me to change it. So I don't want to change it. So I will not look at the evidence staring in my face. So I will select some sources, and out of that sources, I'll select some paragraph, and out of that paragraph, I'll select my own interpretation in a way that supports what I want to believe, and rest of that I will neglect. Confirmation bias is strongest in the domains of life where it is asking us to change our habits in an inconvenient way. Changing habits or bringing any changes inconvenient. If I come to know of a theory that something is bad for me, bad for environment, what will I do? I don't want to change it. So I will change the belief. I will challenge that person that what you're saying is wrong. And I'll try to find more evidence from the Google. But nowadays you can find anything to support what you want to believe in. This confirmation bias is very high in domains where emotions run high. For example, religion, politics, and your favorite celebrities. So if you have if you're running high emotions in religion, and if you find a contradictory evidence, the neuroscientists have found that there is a part in the brain which is called insula, which is the organ to tell us what we dislike, and immediately it is taken over by amygdala and our frontal brain, which is trying to rationalize or find a way out to disprove it.
ये रिसर्च करने वाले ऐसे ही हो जाते हैं, नहीं?
Okay, now, Bajaji, perhaps your phone is on. They kindly mute it. High stakes. So where we have high stakes, where money, reputation, and our promotions, etc., involved, there also we don't want to see the truth, and we have a very high level of confirmation bias. And there is something called mere exposure principle. An essay was given in which the Singapore's population was mentioned at 7 places. 6 of them were wrong, and only in 1 place the population was correct. When people read that essay, and it was not just wrong; it was just a foolish kind of figure that cannot be possible. But even then, people, a large number of people, when they were asked that what is the population of Singapore, that's what they said, which was written more often. And when we are born with certain kind of conditioning, certain kind of environment, and whatever we keep seeing repeatedly, we tend to believe that more as the truth or what is morally correct. This is called mere exposure principle. If the psychologist gave 2 paintings to his subordinate, his student, and asked him, which one do you like the most? And he pointed out, I like Paul Klee, and the real reason when he asked, why do you like him more? He could not say. And then he smiled and said, it's because you have seen similar kind of work more before than the other. Then we also have confirmation because of sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy is the idea that a company or organization is more likely to continue with a project if they have already invested a lot of money, time, or effort in it, even when continuing is not the best thing to do. So if we are carrying a certain belief, certain thing we are doing, so if we need to give up because of an evidence, there is a resistance in us. So the only easy way out for us is to say that what I'm doing is right. Now, the confirmation bias has done some very, very devastating thing, and it's increasing nowadays. We thought that the internet has brought people together, but the research says that yes, it has brought people together who are of the same beliefs, so same kinds of thinking and opinions. And when it is taking people away to meet and bond with people of similar thinking and opinions, it is doing at the cost of going away, running away from other people. So what you are finding is that there is a gap. So there we have formed two islands with no bridge in between. Psychologists call it the phenomena of bonding and bridging. Bonding is when we try to listen to and go with people who validate what we think or believe, and we don't want to be with people whose opinions are different. And unknowingly, this kind of bonding or unity with similar kind of people is disintegrating the world, fragmenting the world. The other thing, other B we use instead of bonding is, psychologists say, is bridging. Bridging happens when we try to listen to people who have different ideas, different views, different opinions, and respect them and try to understand them, even if we don't agree with them. This has resulted in uh, uh, around 4,14,000 deaths in the last 40 years. And there has never been a year which has gone without these deaths. And we will see, a quoted later, the Bertrand Russell once said, "I will never die for my beliefs because my belief could be wrong." Now let us see in detail about epistemic rationality. Suppose this is the reality and I have put a vertical bar because reality doesn't change. This wheel has to go nowhere. Now, epistemic rationality is defined as ceaseless pursuit of and adherence to truth and moral correctness. What does it mean? It means that if a leaf falls from a tree, where it goes is not in its hand. It's the wind that will decide where the leaf goes. In the same way, anybody who has epistemic rationality is like a freely fallen leaf. Wherever the truth takes, it will go there. It has no attachment to any opinion or an idea. It is loyal to nothing but truth and moral correctness. Now, so how we can develop epistemic rationality? There is a word in English, it's called devil's advocate, and it means that uh, suppose our daughter is appearing for an interview or viva tomorrow. So we do a mock interview with her and give her the toughest of questions and challenging that person. Not because we are her enemy, but because we want to check and prepare her for the real world. In the same way, it, every day we should review, set a time and ask ourselves, I did these actions, they stem from a belief. Why do I believe this? We must challenge our beliefs, must challenge our established thinking of the society and question them, and also try to look for contrary evidence which contradicts our belief. And when we encounter a new evidence, we should be willing to update our existing beliefs. Similarly, we should be willing to give up what does not stand to logic or reasoning. If you are seeing the wavy arrows here, it is stopping irrationality and finding the brain bugs which ask us to believe irrational things, question them, stop them in the track. And when we do that, what do we do with our beliefs? We push our beliefs towards reality. And we have a better overlap between our maps of reality, or beliefs are actually maps of reality, and their overlap increases. And when we have this overlap is known as rationality, and then the decisions we make should stem not for our wishful thinking or any other thing or irrationality. Our decision making should be based on rationality. Our actions should result from those decisions, and behavior should result from that rationality. Now, there is a difference between actions and behaviors. Actions are what we do to achieve our goal. Behavior is what we do with other people and how do we interact with them. So This is how we can develop epistemic rationality to guide our intelligence. And there's another thing I follow in my life. I avoid arguments, especially if they stem from in the domain of religion or politics. And I never mention my ideas on religion and politics and on the social media unless I'm with a close friend. So when you find someone wanting to pull into an argument in religion or politics where the emotions run high and confirmation bias is going to be very high, don't think we will ever be able to convince it. So run for your life from there. Sometimes you find that the other person's desire to prove himself right is stronger than finding the truth. The moment you discover this, do not get into that argument. We should invite discussions, not arguments, but it takes two people to do that. And when you find one of them is not there, don't waste your time. The next thing is whatever you want to believe the most, challenge that the most. And you, instead of finding evidence to support your belief, try to find evidence that will prove you wrong and find that evidence as sincerely as you find evidence to support it. In fact, you must ask yourself what evidence will prove me wrong and seek it. And then be a devil's advocate and try to have friends who contradict you, question you, challenge you. And this needs a lot of confidence and love and compassion. So these are the four things we can do to overcome epistemic rationality. There is Michael Shermer, an American science writer, who says, smart people believe weird things because they are skilled at defending beliefs they arrived at for non-smart reasons. And what are non-smart reasons? When our forefathers, ancestors were living as hunter-gatherers, we believed certain things because they were the necessity of the time. And genetically, those learnings and those heuristics or thumb rules passed on to us generation by generation. And we find those things living as ghosts in our impulses. Now, this is another quote. We are good at generating possible ideas, theories, and explanations, but we are often relatively deficient in evaluating and testing them. Dr. Thomas Gilbert. I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong. Bertrand Russell. Now we are going to the second rationality, which is called instrumental rationality. It is the ability to use your resources to become what you want or to achieve your goals, to become your best version. And so first of all, we all have inner resources. And one of the inner resources we have is time. Align and optimize your inner resources to the goals or the actions and behaviors you define, and align these to define and implement your actions and behaviors so that you steer your actions and behavior towards the achievement of your top priority goals so that you become your best versions. Since 1980, I have been recording every single half an hour where I have spent. So in the evening, I asked myself, that's how the day was. And where did you not spend your time wisely, how you could have improved it? And as a result of that, I just pulled out of Facebook, pulled out of many of the social media networks. I do not really spend much time because I'm answerable to myself. So we must find out what we want to achieve to become a best version and dedicate all of the time and the resources to that. This is what instrumental rationality, that's how we can develop it. We should have an evening protocol because habits are like if you go into a forest once, second time, third time, it leaves foot trails. So if you do one thing once, second time, repeat it 30, 40, 50, these becomes habits. And habits are more powerful than willpower. It has been found that the people who are great achievers, they do not use much of the willpower, they use much of the habits. So in the evening, you whatever a good habit you want to develop, for example, you want to start yoga, so start writing in your diary why one. Why one means you have done the yoga first day, then next day you write by two, then next day you write by three. If you find a gap after Y19, next day you should not write Y20, you should write Y1. So write count days of continuity. That's how you will develop powerful habits that will help you achieve your goals. Every day in the evening, you review how you spent your time and learn from it and feed forward that learning into how you're going to spend your next day. Plan your actions and behaviors. Read your goals every day and plan your actions and behavior towards that. And before you write down on your diary what you want to do, write what you will prefer not to do tomorrow. Because before I plan my day, I write what is the likely way I can destroy this time. And that's, I put a kind of barbed wire that I'm not going to do it. Tell myself I have no option but to do it. I mean, many things, we never step out of our home without dressing up because that's what we have told unknowingly to ourselves. There's no option but to dress up before we go. And when we say there's an option, we will err on the wrong side, actually. If you say, I can live a day without yoga, that's exactly you're more likely to do. So give yourself no option. Make a no option rule in your life. And then visualize your next day. Imagine it, how it's going to happen. And imagine that what could be an obstacle and plan to preempt that. Another very nice thing that I have learned to stay on your track is that you have some already developed habits. These habits are like a truck, powerful truck. And whatever you want to start where you do not, you not have the power of habits. So first do a powerful thing, which is supported by a powerful habit, which you can never miss. And only then you can do that powerful thing. First do a thing which is weak. For example, you want to start yoga, but it is not in your habit. So what is in your habit? It is maybe in your habit to read a newspaper and you never miss it. So you put a condition, I can read newspaper only if I have done yoga. So that's how the truck will push the car. And then uh, when our willpower comes from the frontal brain, and our automatic responses come from the parietal lobe in the brain, which is just behind that. So instead of when I say I will go to the market, you may forget it. But if you put something somewhere which will remind you and tell yourself, when I at 5:30, I do this, when I'm doing this, I will remind myself that I will go to the market or I'll pick up the book and put it in my bag, which I am forgetting to return to my friend. These are called implementation intentions. Also, you will not do a thing when the pain of status quo is less than the joy of achieving your goal. You must feel the pain that why I'm like this, why I'm not improving. If that pain is higher, that will drive you forward. And there's another thing to implement this rationality, instrumental rationality. Make a rule that there are things which are knowable. The knowable things are here, and unknowable things are here. For example, what will happen to my life after I die? You can't know. You can only imagine. You can only read the opinions of others. And you will find the things which we do not know or cannot know are often won't make much of a difference in your life, because nature will give you everything you need to live this life. And so anything which is knowable with certainty and it has relevance in your life, give it high priority. And and in the same way that you should spend more time on things about which are knowable, which are relevant to your world and living the life right now, and spend lesser time on things which are not knowable or which are not relevant to living here and now. If your life here, every moment you spend nicely with ethics, morality, making yourself the best person, I don't think that if there is a God, he will punish you for that. His rules will be the same, that you live your life in a best possible manner. So he also wants the same thing from you. So also the things we spend more time on things which are under your control and which are aligned to your goals. And so your time spent should increase with this. Now, lastly, I'll recall our rat friends who were so ethical that they are selfless. They think of themselves. So now I'm in the last. I want to talk about ethical rationality. Ethical rationality is the overlap between whenever I'm making a decision, I'm doing something or behaving in a certain manner. I should ask myself: is it fair to me? Is it fair to the other person? And is it fair to environment? Will it increase the trust quotient in the world? And trust is as necessary in our society and the world as oxygen is, as environment is. Environment is something like external lungs. If somebody asks me, I'll give you 10 lakh rupees, you give your lungs, I will not agree. But we so readily agree to kill the external lungs, which are far more important. If there's no oxygen, what my inner lungs will do? So whatever we do, we should do in such a way that we are fair to ourselves, fair to the other person, fair to the society, fair to the environment, fair to the raising of trust level of the society, and fair to the other living beings and who are coexisting with us on earth. If you read a book that tells you you are superior or your rights to live are more than those of others, do not touch that book with the long end of a pole, because I like Gandhiji's quote when he says, "My life is not more important than that of a goat." So we should live and let others live. We should be fair to the environment. This problem that we are doing is causing us harm, causing environment harm, and of course it's cruel to animals. So we need to be fair to environment. We need to raise the trust level in the society, and we should be fair and loving and careful towards our other non-human living beings living with us. They are our family. So in these three ways, we create a world which would be fairer to all with these three rationalities. So remember the rats, whenever they do anything, they first put themselves in the position of the other. So with this, we come to the end of this presentation. Now I would request if anybody has a question, so I can respond to that.
I'm just unmuting all the audiences.
Okay. Have you received any questions?
If you want to post your question, you can just post on the chat box also. There is a question from Anita Gupta, some question or observation. Indian mythology tells us that we should help our society in troubled time and not keep ourselves to our requirements. Being true self is Western culture.
Yeah, it's not a question, and she's right that even it is not that intelligence or rationality is a new thing. Our scriptures are full of that. But is there a question implied in this? If it's a statement, I say I respect what you have said.
So this is especially what you said, that you can find yourself to yourself only. You don't look around. If what our Indian mythology says, that you should keep your neighbor also. If you have the problem, then you should attend him. You should not confine the only other thing. The Western countries also too. They confine to themselves. They don't care for their elders, their uh, elder the, fathers, mothers, and neighbors. So,
I
but
think
Indian
I
mythology,
think
they
I
very
when I say my top goals, my top goal could be to take care of my parents. My top goal could be to relate to help my neighbors. So your top goal doesn't mean it pertains to me. It is up to the individual. So, for example, your top goal could be to spend time educating the poor children around. So if you're asking this question, I would like to clarify your top goal need not necessarily be selfish. Any other questions?
There is a question from Mr. Narendra Kumar. What steps
Yeah.
need to be taken to help overcome the present pandemic?
Enlightening.
Okay.
Enlightening.
Yeah. So
कुछ कहना
I
जरूरी है
would
क्या?
say that I really do not know how this pandemic will end or when it will end. My feeling is that we should do what our experts are saying on this. I'm not an expert on this, and the only thing I do is I follow the precautions, and I spend my time wisely as I was doing before. Let us not take this as an obstacle. Use this as an opportunity. Otherwise, we have distraction. So, for example, these days I'm writing a book and using my time, and spend a lot of time with my family time. Evening time is spent with my family. So, whatever your goals are, try to develop good habits during this time. You are close in your home, develop good habits, stay connected to your friends, and whatever your goals are, move towards them. Use your time wisely. Develop your immune system. That's what I can say. Yeah. Any other question?
There is one more question from Mr. Durgesh Gar. Mr. Durgesh Gar is our, Vice President of
What is his
NMA
name,
also.
sir? Mr. Yogesh?
Mr. Durgesh Gar. Mr.
Okay.
Durgesh ji, can you just unmute yourself? I think you can unmute yourself.
Sure.
You can just ask your question yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, Mr. Bhatnagar.
Good morning, Durgesh. How are you?
Good, sir. It was a great presentation, and remember meeting you at the NMA also long time back. You had come for an evening lecture there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically,
So
my
what's your
question
question?
is, yeah. So the question is like, with so much uncertainty in the world due to COVID, how can you be focused on the work and be motivated?
Okay. You see, there is a Christian teacher who said that you must see what are the things which are in your hand, which you can control, which you can change. What are the things which are not in your hand? And he has a prayer which says that God, give me the wisdom to decide, to know which one is which. And he prays that whatever I can change, give me the strength to change it. Whatever I cannot change, give me the power to endure that, and give me the wisdom to make a distinction between the two. We saw this slide where you saw what I said, that spend more time on things which are under your control and aligned to your goals. Under your control is to take precautions, is to staying indoor and doing and spending more time with your family. Normally, we get very little time to spend with with the family. My son, for last 2 months, is not going to office, is working from home. I have a granddaughter. We get an opportunity to spend a lot of time. We are making the best use of this time. And in this since lockdown, I have read 8 books, and I have written around 150 pages of my book. So this is how, and I have uh, connected with so many of my friends, my college friends, my school friends. So relationships are very important, and everything is important. Serving society, relating with people, and bringing excellence in your profession, managing your time and money. So when you are enclosed in a space, ask yourself, what is the best thing that I can do with this? I hope I could respond to your question. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Thank you, Durgesh. That was a wonderful question. Sandeep, any other question is there?
I will invite anybody want to ask any question, please. You can unmute yourself. Everybody will be able to unmute.
Anybody wants to ask a question can unmute and ask directly. Hi, Narendra, I'm seeing you. How are you? No, unmute it. It is muted, yeah.
Wonderful, Anil.
Thank
It
you.
was long listening to your talk. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
So it
thank
was-
you all of you for
Yes.
being such wonderful listeners, and I
Ah.
thoroughly enjoyed being with you.
So, Anilji, this was a wonderful talk. I think you were able to just give some very useful thoughts on this rationality, what we should adopt in our day-to-day life. And it was something, I mean, it was a thought process which nobody generally goes around like that. So it was a wonderful talk, I will say. So now I will invite Mr. A.K. Gupta ji just to deliver the closing remark on this and give a vote of thanks, please.
Hello, Anil.
Hello, sir. Thank you
Hello.
so much for giving me this
Yeah.
opportunity.
And seeing it was very nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yes, Gupta ji, boliye.
Anil Bhatnagar ji, it was a very good topic. I hope you are able to hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, it was a very good topic. And this concept of creating healthy habits has really been a very big hit with my way of understanding your program, telling us to count the days of continuity and review the results and setting the goals. These are, and also you have added a very important factor that not to add the options to it. And when we don't add question of options, then the implementation portion becomes possible. And these are all very positive things which will help us to take forward in our life. This is very good. This was a very good evening with us, with you, and we could understand a very right way of trying to use the intelligence and the time for our own betterment, and also to take things which are not under our control, to understand the wisdom of saying that this is not under our control, but this is under our control, and we should do it. Thank you very much once again. It was a great evening with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Once
Thank you
again,
very
all
much.
participants for
Thank
giving
you very
your
much
time.
for the participation. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Anybody saying something? Mr. Alok Arwanji?
Hello.
Yeah,
Anil,
yeah.
are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just on behalf of all the participants, I would like to place on record my gratitude to you for the wonderful talk. And as you have rightly said, everybody is going through this difficult time. And this time, in fact, I put it, it's like blessings in disguise, because what we couldn't do in the years, we have been able to do it now. We have got so much time. I, for one, have been practicing meditation thrice a day, and doing other hosts of activities online, which I couldn't do it earlier, moving around here and there. So God has given us the opportunity to realize, introspect ourselves, go deep into ourselves. And that is how it keeps the fear and the anxiety away, makes you fearless. And yes, come what may, we are here to face it. Because whatever precautions need to be taken, and we are all disciplined people, whatever government advisories are there, that we need to follow. But unnecessarily, people are talking negative things because they are watching more and more TV news, get carried away with scores and all. I think people should keep themselves away from those negative things and talk more positive things to go deep into it. And I think then probably the realization comes how beautiful the light is, because this is the time, the moment you start realizing it, the life is uncertain. And that realization, at least now, should be understood because of this pandemic, that how uncertain life is. Because you talked about environment too, we are responsible because we have not been living in harmony with the nature. We thought that we are more stronger than the other species. We have to take care, we have to live together in happiness, in harmony with each other, and pay respect. And as you talked about external lungs, I fully agree. We are come to this universe for giving, actually. And the more you give, the more you get. This is a simple mantra for living peaceful, living on this earth. So we must respect and get everything. Everything is available in this earth far as our need is concerned, but there's no end of greed. So I thought I must share my views.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful thought, Mr. Narendra ji. बहुत अच्छा. This was a wonderful thought you shared with us. Very, very useful.
And myself, we are contemporary from IIT Delhi, so we have long association of long 45 years.
Yes. Wonderful. Your thoughts are wonderful.
Yes. We have recorded it, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you. You can share it with us. Huh? Thank you so much.
Okay, bye. Okay, ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.